In powerlifting, the brace is one of the most important ways that we deliver performance in our lifts. It's what connects the muscles that are actually doing the movement to the weight, and without a strong connection, it's impossible to lift really heavy weights, and obviously that's what we're trying to do. So this video is a short primer on how I would start thinking about your brace, obviously depending on how you lift, what kind of lifter you are, your leverage, your size, all of these sort of things. You're going to need to make changes to optimize it for you. But I think that this is a good place where everybody should start. For the squat and the deadlift, we brace the same way, which is called the Valsalva brace. The Valsalva brace involves pushing air into your belly so that you create a lot of tension and intra-abdominal pressure in order to connect your legs where you're doing, where you're generating the force, to the point where the bar is, where the force of the bar is going through, which is normally about where your shoulders are. You think from the deadlift, it goes through your arms, it goes through your shoulders. On the squat, it's about where your shoulders are. And a good connection is really important for delivering good strength. You'd be surprised how much you're leaving on the table without a good brace, even if it doesn't feel like your brace is the limiting factor at the moment. For the bench, we brace in a different way. Instead of the force going through our torso, more or less everything's in line, right? There's no torque like you create at the start of a deadlift or at the bottom of a squat between where your force is being generated and where the bar is. There's no fundamental lever there, because if you think about it, your arms are in line with your shoulders more or less, so there isn't a lot going on there. Whereas if you think about your deadlift, there's going to be a distance between your hips and your shoulders, front to back, which is going to cause there to be a moment. So we brace a little bit differently there. Let's talk about the squat and deadlift brace, the Valsalva brace first. In order to Valsalva brace, think about holding your arm out, sort of having your thumb up like this, and imagine there's a candle lit at the top of your thumb. Just take a deep breath and get ready to blow it out, and really blow it out. And blow it out until there's no air left in you. So as you do that, you should feel your belly pushes out and tightens. Obviously, I haven't done it all the way, because if I had, I wouldn't be able to talk. There wouldn't be any air left. And that's a good way of checking whether you've actually done it all the way. You might be able to speak, make little noises. If you can do that, keep blowing out. Once you've done that, you want to breathe air into your belly, not into your chest, into your belly. And as you breathe the air into your belly, you shouldn't see your chest rise or your ribs move, because that means that the air isn't going into your belly, it's going into your chest. But imagine blowing out that candle and breathing into your belly. If you want to try and practice the Valsalva brace, a good way of doing this, think of your belly button as 12 o'clock on a clock, and place your hands at sort of 3:30 and 8:30, about there, just above where your hips are, just behind your center, and practice doing it, and you should feel yourself expand into your fingers. And as you do this, watch yourself in the mirror and make sure your shoulders aren't rising. So look. I can feel myself expanding into here, and my shoulders didn't rise. It can feel quite difficult, especially if you're in your low bar position on the squat, or if you're a bigger person and you feel like your legs are getting in the way in the deadlift while you're bracing at the bottom. The solution to this for deadlifts is to brace at the top and then go down to the bar, rather than going down to the bar and then bracing. And there are disadvantages to this, but they're outweighed by having a brace, right? For the low bar squat, honestly, there's just practice involved. You can think about something that personally helped me a lot is thinking about being quite forceful with the unrack, really taking the slack out of the bar during the squat unrack before I'm lifting it. That helps you stay a little bit more upright after you've walked out in your squat, which can help you generate the space to actually brace in. For the bench press, we said that we're not bracing in the same way. We're trying to brace where we want to breathe into our chest now, right? You want to think about really puffing up your chest as you breathe. You can see myself puffing up my chest. And as you puff up your chest, your sternum angle, which is like your sternum is this bone, you can imagine it draws a line. It should go from pointing at the floor to pointing sort of out in front of you and rotate up the more that you get this brace right. Whereas with the Valsalva brace, the sternum angle will start pointing down more as it'll bring your ribs down. Now we want to bring our ribs up. Why do we do this? Well, it helps you generate stability, but also puffing up your chest will decrease the range of motion in your bench press, which is obviously beneficial, assuming you're not sort of hitting depth and breaking standards. For the bench press then, there's more setup involved in getting a good brace than there is in the squat or the deadlift. So it's worth talking about that. When you set up, you should think about placing the nape of your neck onto the pad of the bench. That's that fleshy bit where the skin is, just above your t-shirt and below your hairline. It should stick to the bench. Skin is really sticky, whereas fabric often isn't. So getting it on there will help you stay stuck. At this point, you should have your hands on the bar, and you should have a little bit of the weight of the bar in your hands just to help you stay stuck onto the bar. You know, the more weight going through your neck, right? More weight in contact with the pad, the stronger the force of friction will be, so the more you'll stay stuck. You really want to drive with your legs at this point, trying to do like a leg extension, to use your feet to push the floor away from you. Your butt's probably going to be in the air, which is good. Breathe a bit into your chest, unrack the bar, and bring your butt down. Still keeping that really high tension with your quads, pushing the floor away. You then want to, once you've brought your butt down, to breathe into your chest. And as you breathe into your chest and really puff it up, you probably will be able to get a little bit of movement out of your butt, bring it a little bit closer to your shoulders using that leg drive. It's easier to do this if you have the capacity to get into an arch. So a good warm up is to think about placing a foam roller sort of at the bottom of your ribs, so about there, under your back. And then as you have it under your back, just imagine breathing into it, and as you breathe in, you melt into it, and you get that sternum angle change. So you go, and then you breathe out. You really want to think about expanding your ribs. Obviously you can't like actually expand the gap between your ribs, but that's kind of a good way of describing the feeling of it. Hopefully this has made some sense and will be useful for some of you. This video is mostly aimed at the 10 or so athletes I've taken on this week, but hopefully some other people find it useful. But it's very much part of a process of developing a good protocol for your brace. It's the first step rather than the answer, and it shouldn't really be thought of as the answer, because it's not. You will need different things depending on who you are, how you lift, what your levers are, all of this stuff. So don't think of it as an answer, think of it as a starting point. Yeah, okay, bye.